Where am I taking responsibility of my emotions and my level? Why am I not learning this lesson if this keeps happening? And sometimes ignorance is bliss, right? So doing the work is hard.
One of the biggest keys to that is to start to filter through the emotions. Imagine that you are your own best friend and you are watching you go through this, grow through this. What's your advice to someone else? What's your advice to yourself as if you were giving it to your very best friend who you didn't want to see continue to get hurt or continue to set themselves up? That's the hardest part because we're emotionally invested. It's hard for us to see beyond that emotion to get to the clarity of what's happening.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Authentic Conversations. If you are rejoining us and you follow us, thank you so much for your support and love. I can't believe we're like in December, and pretty soon we're going to have an anniversary coming around the corner. I want to acknowledge that. I want to
Yes.
acknowledge your support, Susan, of this dream that I had, of this feeling and vision.
Yes. We're
So,
here.
so thank you. So if
Everything
you
that's happening now you once dreamt about, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, careful what you wish for.
Amen to that. So if you're new to joining us and someone whispered in your ear and said, hey, check out Authentic Conversation, I am Amarelis
And I'm Susan.
and welcome. So we joined here, and my dream was to have a podcast on just questions, conversations. Susan is my life coach, and um, we have instead of being a one-way highway has become a two-way highway because I sort of feel like I also support Susan in her journey, and it became this beautiful friendship journey. And I want the goal of Authentic Conversation was to us to be able to, through our journey, give back.
And people need to know that all relationships, right, are two-way relationships, or at least the healthy ones, because everyone has something to learn from each other. So if it's, if you're always on the receiving end and you're not offering, then it's a disservice to the relationship. So just pay attention as you notice who your people are, what the level or balance of give and take is. It's important to recognize that, especially around this giving season.
Giving and taking. We talked about that in yoga today.
We did talk about giving and taking in yoga today, and don't deny people the opportunity to give because you're a giver yourself. Be open to receiving, be open to receiving with graciousness and deservedness. You deserve to receive. It's not all about giving. It's about balance. So anyway.
So with that balance, we have been recording for a while, and I went back to some of our recordings, and I'm doing these 10-minute meditations. If you have not checked those out, they are on our TikTok page and on our Instagram page. And of course, the full version of our meditations are also on our YouTube channel. So they're 30 minutes. They're an amazing gift that Susan has given to us, and one of them was the universal laws. So we have been going through them, and I went back and I'm doing something different to just give it back this life, which every time I'm listening to them, I'm like, oh, that is what I needed to hear. Because I'm editing, and then I can have a hard time editing these to 10 minutes because the words of gift that Susan provides to us is amazing. And I can't believe that I have to cut these into 10 minutes.
Well,
So
I appreciate your efforts on my behalf, but yeah, and we cycle back to things and we hear it again and we hear it differently, and it's important. Yeah.
So one of our amazing listeners asked a question on our TikTok page, and I'm taking advantage because it matches with something that I want to talk about, Susan. So she goes, our last one that we posted previous to the last one, is the law of vibration. Am I correct, Susan?
Yes.
Yes. So it's this beautiful video with the beach and the waves. And we're talking about vibration, being aligned, which is something that we talk about here a lot. And she asked the question of, how do you know where you um fall in your where you are vibration? Like, how do you know where you are
Like,
vibration?
yeah, how do you know where you are vibrationally? And I think the answer to that is to look around you, because where we vibrate, right, the level that we're at, our energetic level, what we're putting out is what we're receiving back. So in the people that you surround yourself with, in the things that are coming to you. So if we're talking about the law of vibration, it kind of parallels with the law of attraction. What we put out, we get back. And I think that um, the better you feel, the more aligned you feel, the higher you're vibrating, right? So it's an energetic feel. So it's hard to like say, okay, so if these 5 things are happening, this is where you're aligned. It's not that simple. It's not that clear cut. But if I am getting some immediate feedback on some of the things that I'm desiring, or some of the things that I'm working on, and I'm getting immediate feedback, then I know I'm in good space. If I'm struggling and fighting and not feeling aligned, then I know that I'm in a lower vibration. If the people around me feel more irritating, if I'm more irritated by what's happening around me, then if my energy is low, if I'm having trouble um, seeing the light, seeing the positives, seeing the lessons, seeing the encouragement in the challenges of life, because it doesn't matter where you're vibrating, we're still going to have you know things that come up. So how I'm responding to how things come up are kind of a direct indicator on where I am vibrationally on the scale of, low to highest possible, vibrational level. And it's almost so if it's like the power of the magnet, right? Here's the easiest, here's what's coming to me as the most simplistic way, right? So magnetism has certain strengths. So if our magnet has hardly any pull, we're not seeing the feedback. We're not getting the instant knowings or awarenesses or understandings of things. It's more of a struggle. It's more of, it's hard, has to work harder. Where if your magnetism is greater, it's like a point of attraction. Things are being drawn to you. So your vibrational level is kind of like a magnet, and you can test it by seeing what you're attracting. Does that help?
I hope it helps. I want to give some tools. So if someone is asking this question, for me, I understand exactly what you're saying, because we've been doing the work, and we kind of we always repeating ourselves because it's always the same thing. So first, I want to remind everyone who is watching this, or if this is something that you're struggling with, we're human beings.
Every single one of us.
We are being in the moment. And one of the struggles, and I have some notes here, Susan, because I really want to talk about this, and it's something that's been close to my heart, like always. And we practice the gratitude, we practice being in alignment, but when we are being human beings, and when we have to go to work, to the job that we don't like, or when the bills are coming in, or holidays are here, and you want to make everybody happy because you want a gift.
Yes, or we're at odds with someone, or we're at odds with ourselves. I mean, we're human beings.
Right, especially when we're at odds with ourselves, because we're saying, okay, so awareness is the key, and I'm aware that this keeps happening. Where am I taking responsibility of my emotions and my level? Why am I not learning this lesson if this keeps happening? And sometimes ignorance is bliss, right? So doing the work is hard.
So one of the biggest keys, if we're talking about keys, one of the biggest keys to that is to start to filter through the emotions, right? So we respond emotionally first, right? It's an ouch, it's a heart opener, it's a whatever, right? So we respond emotionally first. And then sometimes, so we know the pattern is repeating, but we're too emotionally invested to clearly see what needs to be done. So whether we're emotionally invested, in a partnership, in a relationship with money, in, whatever it is, the emotional connectedness takes away from the clarity. So we have to be able to, I often say, like, imagine that you are your own best friend and you are watching you go through this, grow through this. What's your advice to someone else? You know what I mean? What's your advice to yourself, as if you were giving it to your very best friend who you didn't want to see continue to get hurt or continue to set themselves up? And that's the hardest part, because we're emotionally invested. It's hard for us to see beyond that emotion to get to the clarity of what's happening. It's not clear when we're emotionally invested in it. So we have to, I'm not saying don't feel emotions about things, but I'm saying step outside of if you really want clarity and you have the awareness that something needs to shift, you've got to step outside of the emotion and look more pragmatically at the circumstance and the situation in order to clearly see how you can break through. Not break down. Breakdown is emotional. Breakthrough is clarity.
And if you're breaking down and if you're feeling anger, you have to feel the anger to get to the next level. So we're talking about the scales of emotions, and they are emotions where if you get to the point where you're so depressed and you're so down, then you have to figure out, okay, so how can I get it up to the next level? Am I angry? Okay, so let me be angry. What am I angry at? Am I angry at myself? Am I angry at those? Let me be with that and sit with it, but I have to move to the next level. And they're baby steps.
You have to feel it to heal it, right? So you have to feel it to heal it. It rhymes, right? Feel it to heal it, feel it to heal it, feel it to heal it. You have to feel it, and then you have to move you have to allow that feeling to move through you. So we stay stuck in feelings probably longer than we need to, which creates suffering, right? So you're feeling some sort of a way. I want you to feel that, but then I want you to allow the feeling to pass through you so that you can, with more clarity, evaluate the circumstances in which brought that feeling forward.
I'm going to tell you right now, guys, look at children. Look at a kid who falls down or is having a tantrum. And then 2 minutes later, they forget.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And when we get older, the world brings more things to us, and we get more and more because we're in the mind, we're not in the heart, we're not in our feelings. We're living in the feelings too much, and we don't let go.
Yeah, and we're in our head way too much. Yeah.
Way too much. So for those that question again, because it's okay. And I've been there myself. We've all been there where we are angry, where we're upset at ourselves, where this work, you're just like, really, I can't keep continuing to like look at this. And it's okay. You have to sit with yourself and say, okay.
Can we go back to low vibration for just a second? Because I want to be really clear, because if you haven't listened to the podcast, or even if you have, right? So we vibrate, we're in a range, right? So we're always in a range. We're in a range of normal. We're in a range of motion. We're in a range of emotion. We're in a range of energy, right? Where our vibrational state changes from moment to moment. So how do I know where I'm vibrating? Well, here's the answer. You're vibrating everywhere, right? So, you're up and you're down. It's just when you feel the dip start, right? It's like, how long am I going to stay dipped before I revamp, regroup, allow the feelings to move through me or move myself through the feelings, and recognize, maybe sometimes we get the gift of recognizing the connection. You're like, I'm feeling this way because it's related to something, it made me feel the same way that I did when I was 7, right? So sometimes you can plug that together. Sometimes you can connect those dots, but not always. And it's okay. But if you keep coming back to that feeling, then remember what triggered that feeling last time and see if they're connected. We don't have to go all the way back to 7 to heal it. We just have to see that it's a pattern and choose not to move back into that pattern again. Because if that pattern is not helping us raise our vibration, lift ourselves, join the people who are living a joyful existence, right? And they don't live that joyful existence all the time. They do this too, right? But the less time you have to spend down here in a lower vibration, the less suffering you experience, right? So we dip our toe and we go, oh yeah, okay, now I see it, I feel it, I'm aware of it, I recognize it. Whew, that's an automatic rise, rise. Depends on what you're talking about. Could be an automatic raise, could be money in your pocket, right? Could be a rise, could be a feeling or a burst of energy or an inspiration or an idea or something that takes you up. We want to continue to travel up. When you get to the elevator and the choice is the dirty, dark old basement or the penthouse, push the up button. Push the up button. Every once in a while, we end up in the dirty, dark old basement because we got to clear out some cobwebs and, sift through some old stuff, right? Blow the dirt off, figure it out. But how often you go to the basement really depends on your energy and what you're choosing and how you're responding.
And guys, the more you do this work, the longer you'll see the time frames where the longer you're in a great vibration, you're feeling great, you're doing great. And then here comes another lesson. And that's living. And
Yes.
that is being in the moment. And that is being human beings. And you have to have faith. This is where the faith comes in, because we're not seeing, well, why is this happening? I was doing great. I've been doing the work, I'm doing my meditations, I'm working on my breath, I'm doing yoga, and then something happens. And that's when it's okay to sit with it. It's okay to feel the sadness. It's okay to be okay in being where you are. Please,
Yes.
because that is the most important thing. Love yourself where you are, because it's hard. It's hard to be in that basement, and remind yourself to go, okay, I've been here
And it's
and I'm
temporary. And it's
temporary.
temporary. And I also know that if I've reached the heights once, I can get back there. The only thing in my way is me, right? Like making different choices will allow me to return there, or having new insights or awarenesses that I realized in the dark or that I became aware of in the basement, right? That's what will propel you. So once you have a taste of feeling good, know that you can always go back there. I in the meditations, often when I work with young people, I say, okay, so now you've captured this point of calm. I've brought you here, right? There's this point of relaxation, this inner sense of calm, this removing of the external stress. So I was the tour guide, but I showed you the way. And now you don't need me. If I do my job right, you can access this anytime, because it was you that got there. And if you have gotten there once, you can get there anytime you're looking for it. Right? So it's not, it's just, we don't know what we don't know. We haven't experienced something we haven't experienced. But once we do, it becomes a tool. It becomes something in our pocket. You know, the deep diaphragmatic breathing to calm the central nervous system, the ability to send different signals from your brain to your body about being okay and being safe and not being the same person that you were 5 minutes ago, never mind 5 years or 50 years ago, right? It's really, once you've gotten there, it's a range, and it's a constant range. I mean, that's why we live on a roller coaster. We live through the ups and downs, and each one of them can show us more clarity if we can move beyond, if we can allow the emotions to pass through us and find the clarity in the experience.
And the last thing I want to say, because this came to me while I was meditating, so it's really important. I have to say this, Susan. It's stop trying to micromanage.
What are you in charge of? You're in charge of your actions and your responses to the actions of others. And if we think that we're going to control how other people respond or react, or what other people choose to do, or how other people think, right? By forcing the hand, forcing the tunnel, forcing things to be, it's coercion. It's not healthy. It's not allowing, right? So instead of worrying about how you're going to move the masses from here to here, don't worry. Set the example, right? Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Do what feels best in these moments for you, with as much clarity as you can ascertain at this point, right? We may not be able to see beyond all of the emotions, right? But you're not in charge of other people and their experiences So, one, don't let them give you their power. And two, don't be looking to take their power. Stay in yours. Stay in your power. And you decide what makes the most sense for you. Again, meeting yourself where you're at, with as much clarity as you can have right now. That's all we're asking for. We're really just asking for clarity. We're not even asking for strength. When we go through these really challenging times, we don't want to muscle through it. We don't want to force other people to see things our way or defend ourselves or any of those things. We want to show up with as much clarity as we can possibly have to make the next decision. And it'll be the next right decision, because every decision is the right decision, even if it leads you down a path that gives you some discomfort and forces another decision, right? Or leads you to another decision, because there's no wrong decision. You just need to have as much clarity as you can to make the next best choice for you.
So guys, here's your toolbox. What do we have in our toolbox? We allow ourselves to be in the moment. We
To
are
feel.
allowed to feel. Journal. What makes you happy? What is cooking? Reading a book? Watching a movie? Is that going to get you out of this sense? Even what we watch, I've been very aware. Like, sometimes people are like, "Oh, watch this movie," and then I see a preview. My coworker was saying this the other day. She's like, "You gotta watch this movie," and then I was looking at it, and it was about this kid getting kidnapped, and it was like all
No.
this energy that I could feel, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I
Not
can't
for
watch
me.
that.
Not
for
for
me."
me. Not for me.
And I love suspense and I love drama,
But
and
sometimes, and when you're vibrating in a different space, it might be a totally different
right.
appeal. But yeah.
Yeah, and it's okay to say no. I don't. This is not for me. Great. Thank you so much for the offer, but now I know that it just gets my aura. Because we are all energy and we're vibration. So it goes back to the dialing tone of the radio, FM. Those that know what an FM AM, and we had to find the right tuning to
Yes,
get that station that you wanted.
that's right.
Um, that's what we are. And so it's okay that sometimes it's staticky and you're just like, oh, I want clarity. I want the clarity.
So
Go
here's
ahead,
another
Susan.
tool, right? Here's another tool. The reminder is that it's all temporary,
Oh,
right? So even if the tool is just telling yourself, this too shall pass, this too shall pass. We have temporary discomforts, we have temporary interruptions, we have temporary derailments, we have temporary detours, whatever it is, it's temporary. It's a great tool to say, I'm strong enough to meet anything that comes my way, and I know that this is temporary. And on the other side of this, I'll have more clarity.
I will have a testimony because I am a miracle, because I am here for a reason. And
Yes.
God did not create anything in his image just for something. So
Nope.
you guys are all special. You have to remember that breath that you take every day,
It's a
you are
gift to the
here.
world. It's a gift to the world through you, through
We are
you.
all a
through you.
gift to the world. And that goes back to that meditation of oneness.
Yeah.
So we're going through the 12 laws of the universe. We are going to be putting up the law of 5 pretty soon. If you have the time, making them shorter for sometimes because time is the, world that we're living in right now. But
YouTube or
we're all,
TikTok, find us.
yeah, we're all connected here,
I
guys.
know.
And so the
I know.
whole point of Authentic Conversations, once again, is this. It's this joy that we want to give back, the reminder that you're not alone. Even us here have deep conversations when we're down, and it's like, who do you call? Who is your cheerleader? Who is your number one that is going to bring you back up? Because we're all like the cork of a bottle of wine. If you put it in water, it's always going to float. It's going to float back. You're going to be okay. In this holidays, there's a lot of energy going around. There's a lot going on in this world. Protect yourself. What are you bringing into your world? What are you screening? What are you watching? What are you letting into your space? Those that are in your space, from your TikToks to your Instagram to the phone calls that you're making, guys. And if you're thinking of somebody, call them. Don't think about the last time they called you. Don't think about when was the last time you talked. If that person comes to your mind, send them light and love if you're not comfortable calling them, or call them, or send them a text and say, I'm thinking of you.
I
And
just
that's
had
all you
a
do.
I just had a little hilarious closing thought on the TikTok person who asked about how do I know where I'm vibrating?
Mm.
Check your feeds. AI knows where you're vibrating,
Mm.
right? If the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that's coming through on your feeds is not lifting you up, then you better start changing what you're looking at, right? So there's a quick hit, right? You don't even have to look at the people around you. You can just look and see what AI thinks you're vibrating at. So anyway, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. And we'll see you again soon.
Oh, yeah, we will. We'll be back, guys. Thank you.